All right, we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in our stream. All right, first we're going to talk about the developer who made over $2 million overnight, okay, as a Web 3.0 developer with the blockchain. We'll talk about that and what you can learn from this, what some other potential opportunities are out there if this is something that you aspire to do. We're going to look at a lot of other things that have happened in the space since our last stream on Friday. We had the Super Bowl over the weekend, had a lot of crypto exposure there. We're talking about that. A lot of other updates, check out the crypto markets, answer some of your questions, and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. We started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We've got Automatic Beats, Chris Palmer, Jacob, Norris, not sure how to pronounce that. Let's see here. The chat keeps moving on me here. Daniel, Ryoshi, Quinn, I hope I'm saying that right. Trap, Paul. Welcome, Eric. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this. Let's talk about the Web3 developer who made over $2 million basically overnight. Okay, so I'm going to pull this news story up on my screen here. I'm also going to invite my co-host Walshy on the channel. See if you're just joining back into the streams over the past couple weeks or so. We got Walshy here to help us prep for these streams. Also offer some value as co-host here on the videos. So if you have anything that you want to talk about in the streams, definitely ping Walshy on Twitter. That's his Twitter handle right there. I am Walshy NFG. So he'll be taking requests for stuff we talk about in our videos here. So, all right, let's get into this story. Let me pull up the thing on my screen here. So basically what happened, I'm just going to read through this blow by blow, but I hope my internet connection doesn't fail me here. My web browser just decided to pinwheel.
Oh.
Am I frozen?
No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like you're still moving around and everything.
Okay, I'm still moving. Yeah, just for whatever reason, my web browser just froze here. Okay, all right, I've got it. As long as everybody can hear me and see me, okay, we're still good. Okay. All right, so let's get into this. Let's get into this story here. So, everybody, one of the cool things about blockchain is that there's so many different ways to make money with the skills. That's one of the things I'm most excited about the Web 3.0 space is, of course, you can get a job, all right, and you can become a freelancer, but there's all the other ways to make money besides just doing that, because you can add value. That's essentially, where money, how people get money in the first place is creating something of value. So you can do that by, launching your own NFT project. That's what a lot of people are doing now. To capitalize on this major trend. All right. We've seen people doing trading bots. We see all these other types of things, DeFi applications that you can code as a developer. But one other way to do this is actually to help make blockchain protocols more secure. Okay. And one way we can do this is by actually disclosing weaknesses in those blockchain protocols and making money that way. Sometimes very large sums of money, because the downside risk of not knowing about these bugs is huge, and so they want to pay people a lot of money. All right, so that's exactly what happened in this particular story here. So let me share my screen. So this is from Jay Freeman here. So last week I discovered and reported a critical bug which has been fully patched in Optimism, a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum that would have allowed an attacker to print arbitrary quantity of tokens, which he won a $2,042 bounty. Okay, so we got a whole blog post here on exactly how he did this. So he's going to be giving a talk about that. I guess he did give a talk. Well, no, February 18th, that's this week. On the details of this, he has a blog post above, all right? But he also additionally got a bonus bounty from Boba Network, which is very similar to Optimism, all right? They have a maximum of $100,000 bug bounty for that type of thing, but he got basically an extra six-figure tip on top of his disclosure, all right, to $2.1 million for this entire thing. So what's the skill here that basically allowed him to do this? So Essentially, it's just security auditing. All right. So what this is the ability to look at blockchain protocols or applications. It just depends on what it is. Where typically speaking, money is and value are transferred, and then finding weaknesses that could be potentially exploited. All right. And basically taking those and instead of exploiting them yourself, right, and doing something that was, most people would agree is not the right thing to do, telling people who have the power to fix these things before somebody else finds out about it, and then getting paid for this. Okay. And so basically a lot of these protocols have these bug bounties because they welcome people to find weaknesses in their protocol who will disclose it to them and not exploit it themselves. And they'll pay because the cost of having those things exploited for them is way bigger than the sums they pay out. In many cases, these sums are huge. Talking about millions of dollars. Okay. We've seen other cases of this. In the past, people making $1 million like overnight. Now, so what's the type of thing that you want to get into if you wanted to pursue this opportunity yourself? So, if you want to learn security auditing, well, first let's talk about how to learn it and some strategies, because basically, the likelihood that you're probably going to find something like this in a protocol is going to be lower than the likelihood that you're going to get a good paying job, right, in the blockchain space. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean that you can't do both, right? This is an avenue that a lot of people take because, trying to do security auditing type of work is for like this, like basically solo bug bounty type of work, is riskier than just getting a steady paying job, but you can do both, right? Like, so how do you get to that point? Well, basically you want to start by mastering the technologies required to create those things in the first place. All right. So if for most people watching this channel, learning Solidity, the best thing to do is master the Solidity programming language and then start looking at Solidity applications themselves that store money to find potential security vulnerabilities that would have bug bounties associated with them. Okay. And so essentially, that's the first step, is to get very, very, very good at the programming languages. And then you start thinking like a bad guy, basically. You think about, how can I break this thing? How can I take the money for myself? All right. But then don't actually do it. Right. Think about the incentives, and that incentive sort of fuels the purpose for what you're looking for. But then you have to kind of swap that out and say, well, if I get that, then I also get this other reward, which is better than having to, make other people suffer losses. So that's what I would say. And as far as a strategy on doing this, I would just start looking at things, look at bug bounty programs, see who's going to pay out for stuff. Even if somebody doesn't have a bug bounty listed, that doesn't mean they're not going to pay you if you find a security vulnerability that's very severe, and, could save them money, right? Like you could probably still negotiate a bug bounty. And then you want to start looking at stuff, even if like, how can you practice this is just look at open source code and think through it and think about how could you do this stuff. You're going to miss most times you look at stuff because most stuff's gone through multiple rounds of auditing. All right. But part of it just gives you that practice. And then it's sort of like any other skill you'll get better at over time, and you'll be able to quickly like rule out certain possibilities and things like that. So, and as far as that strategy goes, you just want to do that while, just on the side. You probably don't want to spend all your time doing it, because that's like I said, it's risky. And that if you don't find something, you lose all that time. But if you have a, good paying job where you get the benefits of, mastering those skills in the first place, and you can always do this additionally speaking. So let's get, let's see. Did my screen ever come up? I think it did. Yeah, I brought it back. So let's see here. We got a couple questions in this. So matching cryptography concepts, which are at the base of these technologies, might help, right? Yeah. Any knowledge is going to help. The more depth of knowledge you have, the better. Somebody says, I want unstealability. So basically it's bug hunting, but for blockchain. Yeah, basically it is bug bounty. Yeah. So let's get into the topic that everybody's kind of buzzing about over the weekend, which is what happened at the Super Bowl with crypto. So I'm gonna bring Walshy on here to kind of talk about this because I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I did see a lot of stuff flow up on social media after the fact. We have Coinbase with their now famous QR code commercial with the website going down. So we'll start with that one.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I'm like you, Gregory. I didn't watch the Super Bowl either. I don't actually have cable. I couldn't even put it on TV. Who pays for cable? I got other stuff.
Right.
So I missed it. But if you did watch the Super Bowl or you're interested in literally what everybody is talking about on Twitter, so there was a commercial for Coinbase, and essentially all it literally was a QR code that bounced around the screen like a screensaver. Okay, that's it. That's literally it. And of course, everyone's like, so what's this commercial, right? They pull out their phones, they scan the QR code, and 20 million people in less than 1 minute access their website. So obviously no server in the world can handle that kind of traffic. And it went down just about immediately for several minutes. Hey, come to crypto. Oh, by the way, it doesn't work. That's kind of the message there, right? Right.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a bit of a quagmire. That's true, but I don't think it's like a horrible thing because guess what happens now? Everybody's talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like as people say, oh, this is so embarrassing for crypto. It's such a bad look, and it's like, well, no, everybody's talking about this. It's sort of like the old adage of like, any publicity is good publicity. Coinbase rushed to I think the number 2 position in the App Store from I don't know some much lower number. I forgot what it was. You have to fact check me on that. I saw that just floating around social media. If that's even close to true, you know what I mean? It's it's pretty crazy. So
yeah, dude, it was like at 180 before, and it shot up to 2. So yeah, you're right on the money.
Yeah, it's something crazy like that. But I thought it was pretty ingenious. Marketing. Basically, it's right in their core demographic, right? People remember those DVD like screensavers whenever your TV used to fall asleep, and so it's just sort of this, interruption of your attention to be like, oh, what's going on with my TV, right? Like it's going to sleep, it's going into some like technical mode, like something's broken, or you see this like QR code, and then you just you start to realize, oh, this is a commercial and this is, something. And then they had the bonus feature of like waiting for it to hit the corner. Like that's what people always used to sit there and do. They used to sit there and wait for their screensaver to like, perfectly hit that corner and almost never would. So it gives you that emotionally satisfying resolution to the ad itself. So I thought that was very, very clever. So anyways, I mean, we're seeing lots of crypto representation at the Super Bowl. I mean, this is just this is a step in the right direction, in my opinion. I actually heard lots of opinions about this over the weekend. Like, oh, the crypto commercial of the Super Bowl, it's so bad. Like, so many people are going to get wrecked. It's so bad for the entire space, and people are just going to speculate on NFTs and lose money. And I don't know, it's kind of missing the forest for the trees, in my opinion. I think we're headed in the right direction for crypto going mainstream and establishing a awareness in popular culture that is inevitable. This is just sort of that phase, kind of getting there.
Yeah, that's that off completely. Having didn't watch the Super Bowl, I feel like I missed out a little bit on some of the commercials that were displayed last night. Coinbase wasn't the only representative there. There were tons of others that we've been reporting on for the past couple of weeks. Like FTX was there. The idea to me, though, of like my grandma, who's in her 90s, pulling out like her phone and then scanning her TV. That's awesome. I hope my grandma wasn't the only one that did that last night, right?
That's right.
Definitely a whole new demographic that unlocks for sure.
Yeah. So let's let's see here. So one bit of concern that I did see, we can actually talk about this, when people talking about like, worried about, crypto being advertised at the Super Bowl and what that can mean for people getting into space and just losing all their money. When I heard this person talking about this, they were also talking about this story that we have here. Let me just pull it up on the elaborate social engineering scam Do you want to give us some of the details on this, Walshy?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one was brought to us by Thomas G. So a little background, real quick. He's the founder of Arrow, which is a DAO. It's basically working on something really unique. I've never heard of it before. It's like open source VTOL aircraft and like taxis, planes, guys. Like a DAO for planes. Really cool. Regardless, very very obscure, right? Haven't heard of it before. But he came to us with something that was extremely vital for the entire community. So there's like Gregory just said, there's a very elaborate social engineering scam that almost went by him, almost got him. But our hero managed to turn things around. So I'm just going to kind of break it down, machine gun some bullet points here, guys, and bring you up to speed on the story. So it started with the scammer essentially messaging Thomas G and claiming that he worked for a big gaming firm, and they named it, but I'm not going to name it. They want to create content. So the scammer contributed real content to Thomas G, created like 3D rendered models, artwork, some other stuff. And so created real stuff, made the appearance that this is a real person doing real things with generating real interest. After, they examples of their work, they introduced our hero to scammer number 2. So scammer number 2 has like a seemingly authentic, detailed convo, very long convo with our hero. After the combo, scammer 2 emails our hero with details about the scam NFT project. Okay, so again, scammer 2 just convinces our hero everything's okay. This is an NFT project with a token. It's on Solana, and they used a real project here. Okay, they used a real project. I don't think the project itself had anything to do with these guys. They used a fake website that tied, looked like the actual project. So pretty important. So while scammer 2 does this, and this takes place over a couple days. Okay, this isn't all just like in an hour. This is multiple days. Again, methodical.
The slow play.
The slow play, exactly. So while scammer 2, starts building rapport, scammer 1 continues to build like high quality content, build relations, again, making it seem like everything's okay. So really, really tricky, these guys. Scammer 2 then presents our hero with a fake IRL meetup. Literally, scammer 2 was like, hey, look, this big head of a company says we can meet to talk about your project. How great am I? That's how far these guys went. Okay. So this helped build trust. But here's where the attack came. So after all this trust has been built, all this fake work, all that other stuff, scammer 2 then proposed, or rather like provided the actual scam to our hero. Okay, after the IRL invite, like, hey, come hang out. Yeah, we're all good. You're like, let's meet the high levels, whatever. Says that their project's ready to mint, their NFT project's ready to mint. Hey, come here, mint our project, etc. So scammer 2 then sends an NFT to the target wallet for the hero, and our hero, again Thomas G, had actually suggested, hey, don't send it to this one, send it to another one. So that's where the red flags began. But of course, the scammers were like eyeing in on a target wallet. And even after our hero like separated that NFT out, they still sent another one to his primary wallet. Thankfully, Thomas G has some really pristine, just due diligence, order of operations for security. And so just off, like I said, due diligence, order of operations, probably just like clockwork for Thomas, for our hero. Took that NFT, put it in a fresh wallet, and then staked it, according to like how all the mechanics were supposed to work, but did it in a fresh wallet completely. It was only after the scammers sent the second NFT to the target wallet that he really started like, getting some alarm bells going off, some red flags. Because inside the code itself, there was a malicious line there, of course, that stole all of their Aave wrapped ETH. The project that they had linked had an approval process. As we all know, you need to approve tokens for use. And when you're going through the approval, there's certain permissions, right, that you can, allow, and certain ones you can, etc. Spending limits in this case, for example. And of course, they called it Armstrong wrapped ETH, which was the scammers. That's what they were calling their token, Armstrong wrapped ETH, but it was Aave wrapped ETH. Right. And so it almost got our hero there. But thankfully, of course, our hero is an OG, is a BA. I would definitely buy a drink for Thomas if Thomas drinks, because you did a great job, obviously determining that this was a scam, isolating what was actually wrong, and then reporting it to the community. Our hero looked at the contract, like I said, found the malicious code, and then traced those funds back to the actual attackers, because they had sent like 0.2 ETH or something like that for gas fees, and so that was traceable back to their primary wallet. They had funding of like 100 ETH. in order to do this. So ThomasG.eth, tip of the hat to you, sir.
Yeah, totally. So, some lessons that can be learned from this. So basically, like, that's a pretty long, complicated saga that played out here. But what's the quick summary? Basically, someone who is influential, has a lot of money on the blockchain, makes that public knowledge, was wooed by some scammers into thinking that he was, going to be a part of a new project, basically. That's right, Walshy. And the scammers basically sent him funds to his main wallet that everybody knows about that has a lot of money in it. And, basically to get it out, he has to go through an approval process. And then, maybe that's not quite the deal. Basically, the whole idea is that in order for him to take action in the manner which they desired for him to take action, he has to approve a contract with his main wallet. And then that approval, what they're trying to do is do a bait and switch where he thinks he's signing a message on one smart contract, but it's actually another. And then that can basically just wipe out the assets from his wallet. So what are some lessons in this? All right. So number one is don't just put all your stuff in one wallet. That's the thing that's not really kind of talked about here. So, I'm definitely not trying to victim shame by any stretch of the imagination. But what I'm saying is if you want to learn from this lesson here is don't put everything in one wallet. It's just bad operational security. And if you do, don't tell everybody that's your wallet. That's number two. Number three is when you're actually interacting with stuff. Looks like this was, part of the standard process here is when you're interacting with new stuff. Let's say you do hold the majority of your stuff in a big wallet. Don't use that wallet to try out new stuff that you've never used before. Which that was what we did here, which is super smart. And then the last thing is every time that you're signing a message, double, triple, quadruple check every single thing about that. If it has any significant financial risk associated with it, that what you're signing before you sign it. So one of the biggest security vulnerabilities for users is signing approval messages. So what does that mean? So basically NFTs and ERC20 tokens, or tokens basically, is they have something in them called an approval transaction, which if you guys, you do stuff on the blockchain, this pattern well, but if you're not, you have to understand this. So basically, tokens and NFTs have a function that lets other people spend your tokens from you. It's called transfer from. Okay. So basically what it does is it says you can take tokens out of this wallet and give it to this wallet. And the person who's facilitating that transaction does not have to be the owner. Okay. So, if that's basically so your tokens can be sold on an exchange, or if it's an NFT that it can be sold on OpenSea, like a marketplace. Okay. So, before that step can take place, you have to authorize that. And that's what the approval function does. So the approval transaction is you just tell, a certain address that they're allowed to spend a very specific asset and an amount. Okay. Now where scammers can come in place is they could change a couple of different variables in that function. They could change, they could change the asset that you're actually approving, right? They could change. You could say I want to approve my uni tokens or whatever it is, and then they change it to where it's your Aave tokens, or you could so you say I'm approving $1. Well, it could be $1 million, right? It doesn't really matter, right? So they could do that in a variety of ways, and so you have to double check every single part of that when you're doing those approvals, because that's one of the most common ways that people get had. You hear all these stories about oh, I was using a hardware wallet and my NFTs were taken from me. Well, it's the hardware wallet is not going to save you from signing bad messages. And the reason this is important is this is one area where technical literacy gives you a huge leg up. If you're a developer, you can read code and you can look at smart contracts and understand what they do, understand the common pitfalls and security vulnerabilities. you have an edge at doing what I was talking about earlier, right? Which is disclosing security vulnerabilities for a bounty, all right? Making $2 million overnight. I'm not saying you're going to do that necessarily, but that's what the upside is. And then, the other benefit of that is you can look at these protocols and understand what you're approving and not lose all your money. So those are some lessons that can be learned from this. Again, I'm glad that this did not turn out a disaster. But there's a lot of people going to take this and run with it and just call the entire crypto space like a massive scam because of this. I saw this float up on Hacker News. You know what I mean? I saw stuff, people are very worried about crypto's image with stuff like this, with the Super Bowl ads. So I just want to add that commentary there. So we got some other questions in the chat here.
I'm muted. Yeah, no, that was really well said. Just one thing to add in very fast. Yeah, guys, everybody, again, protect yourself from scammers. Obviously, that's just the story. Always do due diligence. We will never message you. Obviously, the comments below, it's gonna be tons of bots and scammers. Just protect yourself. It's the wild, wild west out there, but they're really easy to spot. Some of them are a little bit more elaborate, like we just reported on. But just stay diligent, stay aware, 100%.
Right. Yeah, we're never gonna DM you on social media to ask for money.
Never.
Especially not crypto. I get people who are now pretending to be me to ask for paid promotion videos and be like, yeah, send me some ether or something. It's like, this is not gonna happen. All right, I'll answer a couple questions here that I got to jump off for today. Let's see here. Somebody says can't even spell code, let alone read it. Let's see here. Yeah, it is Valentine's Day. Somebody talk about that in the chat here. So,
yep.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Yes, indeed. We got some price questions. It's basically mainly what's in the chat right now. Someone asked if the price is a reflection of people buying or selling.
You mean right now? Let me just look.
Yeah,
let's actually check the crypto markets a little bit.
At the most basic level, it's exactly what that is.
Well, the easy way to explain that is if prices are going down, more people want to sell than buy at that price level. Okay. That's just kind of basic markets. Right now, let's just see here. I'm mostly going to check on the Bitcoin price because I think that's a pretty good indication of, the strength of the overall market is what I would say. I tend to kind of look at that when things get bearish like this. How's Bitcoin holding up?
Right. That's why we always like to pump a lot of optimistic news, everybody. Whether prices are up or down, we're always here to report on the good stuff.
It's hard to say what's going to happen in the short term, as always. Let me actually just pull up what's going on with the stock market. I think, let's see. Let me just pull it up here. I've been saying this for quite some time now that I don't think crypto is just going to rocket off into oblivion or, just kind of resume really optimistic bullishness independent of the stock market, kind of trying to make up its mind or it's being bearish. And I think really what's going on is a common thread there. Basically, what's going on with the economy, what's going on with the fears of international conflict. I think those are two pretty big factors right now. We're going to see massive interest rate hikes. Are we going to see, a lot more aggressive tightening in the monetary policy? And yeah, I think we just need more time to figure those types of things out. And I think the most likely scenario is that crypto gets kind of boring. To me, in terms of the prices. So to me, just relentless bearishness beyond this point, I think is unlikely, but I don't know. We'll just wait and see.
Question about the Pocket network. Do you have any thoughts about the Pocket network?
Nope.
I've heard of them. I haven't done too much deep dives into Pocket. I hear it's really, really good from kind of the initial feedback on the ground, but that's unsubstantiated because I haven't done a deep dive, I haven't looked into it further. But the general consensus that I've seen is that like people really like it.
Yeah, totally. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. If you got any exciting things you want to talk about, there's new projects, if it's stuff that's going on in the news, if it's technologies that you're excited about, questions as a developer, then definitely shoot those over to Walshy. You can see his Twitter handle here. I am Walshy NFG on Twitter. Like I was saying before, smash the like button really helps the videos out. So when we learn about blockchain, and if you're as fast at this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, even take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you a master blockchain step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.